Retirement Planning 101. How much will you actually spend in retirement? That's what we're going to talk about here today at the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. So as always, you like what you see, subscribe down below, my friends. Of course, comments, thumbs up, the whole thing helps me a lot to get this info out for other people to see as well who could find it valuable. So I've talked about this a number of times on the YouTube channel about actual retirement spending as opposed to just, you're going to spend 80% of your pre-retirement savings. We actually have real live numbers from retirees through the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, who does something called the Consumer Expenditure Survey. We got lots of different numbers on that. And this is what we're going to talk about here today at a new article that I just found it, last month from nerdwallet.com, and MarketWatch has actually posted it. So I want to show it to you because I could not agree more. And of course, because I agree with it, that's why I have to put it out there for you, right? Because if I didn't agree with it, I'd say, get away. No, I'm actually open to ideas for sure. But when we have real live numbers as opposed to just projections or speculation, that can change the way you approach your own retirement so you can quit your crappy old job. I'm telling you, people don't stay in your crappy old job because Susie Orman says, you need $10 million. You're going to go on long-term care. I'm sorry. The likelihood of that happening is so minimal, just not to be worth it for you to kill yourself in your crappy old job. So get out of there. Obviously, look, I'm not saying it flippantly. You got to run your numbers to make sure it works. But for the love of me, I don't get what the fear mongering. Well, I actually don't from Susie Orman. I mean, she's not managing people's money, so I don't get it. All right. Maybe it's because fear sells. In journalism, what's the number one thing they taught you in journalism class? If it bleeds, it leads. If it bleeds, it leads. That's why an old Simpsons episode a long time ago, people were protesting outside the White House carrying banners that said, everything's fine. Life's good. You don't ever see that. You always see people protesting, be it Obama or Trump or you name it. Everyone's scared of something. And if it bleeds, it leads. And fear is a wonderful selling point for sure. All right. So let's talk about this. This is from the Nerd Wallet reality check. Here's what the average retiree spends every month. And so a couple of things to consider. Average and median are two completely different things. So average, again, I use this all the time. Bill Gates has a $5 billion home. I got a $400,000 home. Our average home is half of $5 billion. Does that make sense? So now the median is 50% have below this, 50% have above this. And actually, I don't even know how you figure that out for median, actually. But anyway, the average is not the median, if that makes sense. All right. So I guess the median in that case would be 50% are below 400,000. So our median home would be 401, I guess, because 50% are below 400,000 and 50% are above it. So I guess that'd be the median, where the average is 2.5 million billion trillion. All right, does that make sense? So average and median are two completely different things, which this is even more beneficial to you too, who are worried about your retirement and staying in your crappy old job because you're worried about the average you're spending. So just keep that in mind. We'll go back to Bill Gates. Jeff Bezos. Now, Jeff Bezos is going through a big divorce thing, and he's probably going to be sending a lot of money here pretty soon, and we'll just presume Jeff Bezos is retired. So his spending and my spending, the average is a heck of a lot more than what I'm spending. So the median would be a heck of a lot less than the average. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right. So let's talk about who wrote this article. Diana Yoakum. I wonder if that's related to Dwight Yoakam. Dwight Yoakam, man, that guy, a couple good albums he did. I'm drawing a blank what that one was called, man, but a pretty good. I used to look, man, Dwight Yoakam. He had Los Lobos, Lee Pistola, E. Corazon, and the Dwight Yoakam album, man. That was right when I was getting out of the Army. And then, man, I used to listen to those all the time. So every time I hear those two albums, man, it just brings it back to when I was getting out of the Army. It's almost 30 years ago now. Crazy. The gray-haired couple sipping champagne on a beach at sunset. Yes. Grandpa teaching the kids how to fish at the family lake house. All these scenes are carefree times, but are they based on reality? According to the latest BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is based on 2016 figures, older households, defined as those by someone 65 and older, spend an average of $45,756 or $3,800 a month in retirement. That's about $1,000 less than the monthly average spent by all U.S. households in the U.S. combined. So let's just say that's 1,000 less. So if we have 4,800 times 12, that's 57,600. And they're saying 45,756. Divide that by 57,600. That's actually interesting. That's literally 20% less in terms of what the average retiree spends than what the average household spends. Now, do you take that into your consideration? I don't know. When it comes to your own specific retirement planning, I'm not sure. I've never liked that 80% rule in terms of you spend $100,000 while you're working, you'll spend $80,000 in retirement. Never liked that, but that's interesting right there because that would actually speak to that. But again, you can't look at averages and say that's me. You just can't. But it does get you something to think about as you're quitting. You think about quitting that crappy old job. Excuse me. Naturally, your spending in retirement will vary based on countless variables, including the price of your preferred champagne and the annual property taxes. Read on to learn how retirees' spending habits tend to differ from the working population and how you can plan for your personal post-work needs. Man, yes, and yes. With fewer mouths to feed and no work-related costs to worry about, you may have expected retirement expenses to be even lower than BLS data indicates. Well, again, that's average. In some categories, spending does increase or decrease, even in surprising ones like food. In other areas like healthcare, life becomes more expensive as you age. Here's the data as a monthly breakdown of how households headed by retirement age persons spends money on average in 7 major categories. So remember, we're spending about $3,800 a month on average. Housing, $1,322. Housing is a third of your consumption. You may be close to paying off your mortgage, but housing is the biggest spending category for all age groups, retirees included. I've been saying this a long time. Housing is your number one outflow by far. Nothing comes close, and that includes health costs. Nothing comes close. Some costs never go away. If you live in New Jersey, you're always going to have that $10,000 property tax bill, even when a home is fully paid. This monthly expenditure includes property taxes, insurance, utilities, repairs, and maintenance, and household supplies. Well, that's interesting, household supplies. The big one right there, my friends, is property taxes and insurance. That's for sure. Utilities, actually, I'm surprised they're throwing in that in the housing. I would not. But, hey, I get that. Utilities aren't going away, but property tax aren't going away either. Insurance isn't going away. Thus, a state like I would say Hawaii, because very, very low property taxes, even the price of their homes are quite high. Still, I mean, you're paying low property taxes for sure, unlike a state like Texas and New Jersey. Texas, high property taxes, my friends. No getting around that. Now, they don't have a state income tax, but if you're only pulling in $3,800 a month and half of that's coming from Social Security, your income tax in Texas is nil to begin with. Transportation, $567 a month. People older than 65 do catch a break on transportation costs. The $68.14 annual average outlay, which includes the cost of gas, insurance, auto insurance, right there's a big one, and maintenance repairs, about 1/3 less than the $9,000 average households shell out each year. That's pretty interesting. So basically, they're saying you're going to reduce your transportation costs by about 1/3. I would actually expect to be more than that if you're commuting each and every day to your crappy old job. Also, don't forget the property taxes. There are exemptions you can take, and a lot of states have a significant property tax exemption once you're a senior citizen. Just keep that in mind. You got to go to your county and find out what that is. Healthcare, $499 a month. Insurance premiums, which run over about $4,000 a year on average for the 65 plus set, are a spending category that just gets bigger as you age, at least until age 75, when BLS showed costs dipping by about $30 a year. Isn't that interesting? While financial assist from an employer may no longer exist, at least there's Medicare to help cover some costs. So as always, I go back to Medicare. I always say, look, at least budget $300 a month. You got $150 for your Part B and Part D, roughly, maybe a little bit more. And then you get $150 a month for Medigap. And I always use Medigap as your starting point. You could do an MA, a Medicare Advantage policy. Yes. But just for me, the pain of looking through Medicare Advantage as opposed to just looking at Medigap I'd much rather pay a little bit more for Medigap than a Medicare Advantage. But that's just me. That doesn't mean you, and I'm only 48, so I'm not there now anyway. And a lot of the MA policies, Medicare Advantage, are getting very, very they're getting a lot more bells and whistles. The problem I have with that is it's still an in-network plan, similar to an HMO. And if you're out of network, i.e., you're traveling to Kansas for to go see a family reunion, and you're from Miami, are the doctors available in network in Kansas and your Medicare Advantage plans? I don't know. That'd be tough. I don't know how people do that. So just keep that in mind. Food is about $500 a month. This is another major budget category for all ages, yet retirees spend nearly 20% less than the average household does on food, maybe thanks to more home cooking. And I probably think retirees are probably going out or capitalizing on the classic early bird special. I don't know. I don't know about that. I know when I'm retired, I'll be eating still steaks that I like because I love me some steaks. I'll still be getting food. My wife and I'll probably be going out, and she loves a French onion soup from Old Blind Dog here in Georgia, and we'll probably be doing that more and more. But the facts are, I don't have 6 mouths to feed. I only got 2. So every time we go out, it's actually saving us money. For a big family, my friends, it costs a lot of money. I mean, you're talking $20 a pop to feed your family. That's just at home. And if you go out, we just bought some Olive Garden last night. That's $70. And in fact, that's $70 for 4 people because my oldest daughter's at Georgia Tech now. And my youngest doesn't like it, so we just made him some spaghetti. So even for 4, it's still $70 a pop. And that ain't cheap, that's for sure. Personal insurance / pensions. Oh, that's interesting. I don't get that. Why would pensions be an expenditure? Well, let's find out. Those in the household who are still employed, bringing in earned income, are required to pay their fair share of salary to Social Security and perhaps even to the company pension, which combined account for the bulk of this average monthly expense. Yeah, so I don't get what that means. Insurance, I guess, health or life insurance. That doesn't make any sense. Cash contributions. Apparently, with age comes a greater appreciation of one's financial blessings. Retirees report dedicating $24.29 of their annual income to cash contributions, which include charitable donations, compared with $2,081 for the average household. And see, that one I don't think the average is applicable here. With lots and lots and lots of studies of who gives the most. And I'm telling you right now, the folks in the Southeast and the Utah places where the high charitable contingent of religious affiliations, even though their income is much, much less, they give a higher amount of proportion by far than they do in the Northeast or California. And that's not a moral judgment. It's just a fact. So I would take that cash contributions with a grain of salt when it comes to average, simply because if you're living in the Northeast and you're charitably inclined, you're given a whole heck of a lot more simply because you have more disposable income for sure. So I don't know about that cash contributions one. Entertainment is about $200 a month. Living it up without having to get up and schlep to the office every morning is a perk of retirement. Here, older households spend about as much on fun stuff as they do between 25 and 34, but somewhat less in the broader range. I don't know, $200 a month. I know when I'm retiring, I'm buying season tickets to a minor league hockey team and a minor league baseball team. I know that. I cannot wait. I don't know if they got a minor league hockey team in Chattanooga and Greenville, South Carolina. They got both, and I'll be buying season tickets. If that's where we retire, I'm not sure. I was a big fan of Rapid City. Do they have a big... I don't know much, but never been to Rapid City, but I've always had that on my mind because it's sunny a lot and it's dry. And I know it gets cold. The cold in of itself doesn't bother me as long as I can deal with it with the elements. But as long as I don't. The cold doesn't bother me as long as I'm prepared for it. It's the cold that bothers me when I'm not prepared. That's for sure. But I don't know if they have any minor league teams up there, baseball or hockey. I don't know. But that's where I want to live, where you can get a AA baseball team and an ECHL or American Hockey League hockey team. I'll be there all the time. How this affects retirement planning. A widely accepted rule of thumb is that retirement, you'll need 70 to 90% of your income to maintain your standard of living. But again, your mileage may vary depending on when you retire, where you choose to live, and how long you live, and when you start taking Social Securities and a host of other factors. The bottom line is that what you save today will determine how strictly you'll have to budget down the road. Don't wait for the first sign of being gray to see where you're staying. Pick the age. Okay, so they give us a retirement calculator, which maybe I'll jump on at one point. I will, actually. But the problem with these retirement calculators is they don't adjust for if you have a reduction in spending in retirement. I got a guy, my man Jeff from North Carolina. He's a software engineer, and he's putting together some stuff for me that is a plug and play. Actually, is a web-based software Also, someone else had done a spreadsheet for me that's pretty good, but spreadsheet is just tough to use. I like the more software, the Visual Basic. I don't know if that's what. See, I don't know. My brother used to do all that. In fact, my brother could do it too, but he's got 4 kids to take care of. Right. So I do want to read some of the comments here. So because I thought this was kind of interesting, and if they can show us the comments here, because they got some comments down below, which I wanted to kind of talk about if it will come open here. And it did just a second ago. And why is it not opening? So we will pause. Well, actually, all right. Well, okay. For some reason, not opening the comments. Don't know why. That's annoying. All right. Well, anyway, a couple of comments as typical. Healthcare costs will kill you. All right. All right. Right here. There's a couple here. I want to start with the term average, better benchmark because you have how much I'm taking. Okay. Someone who in my case, require so this guy says he requires fewer calories as metabolism has slowed during the aging process. All right, I don't care. Right here. No mention of the retirement smile, says James McGlynn, that shows expenses declining until long-term care expenses kick in. With LTC provided by hybrid long-term care insurance, I feel confident of the 80+ boom in expenses. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. So obviously, James McGlynn is pushing a hybrid long-term care / life insurance policies. I like those. Don't get me wrong. The problem here is that he's saying no mention of the retirement smile that shows expenses. I mean, my goodness, man, where's the proof of that? I can show anything you want. I can show you not having any expenditures. So what he's saying is that, well, here, let me draw this on this. If I could find my trusty old pen. He's saying you basically, when you're working, this is what you're spending when you're working, and then you retire. Initially, it goes down, and then it goes back up when you hit older age. I'd like to see a study that validates that, actually. I have yet to see one. I'm sure, look, you could take anecdotal evidence all day long to show that people spend more in retirement as they age. Absolutely. I mean, I know for a fact. Some people are doing this. They're spending, let me make myself, how come I can't? All right, there we go. I know for a fact there are people that are doing this, that they spend here and then they retire. Initially, they spend here and then they spend here when they're spending $8,000 a month on long-term care. I know that happens. Let's see if I have a thing to wipe this off. I don't. Let me just use my, all right. But most people, what will happen is, let me use my hands. Most people are going to spend right here. All right, that's them right now. And then they retire. They might spend a little bit more on the front end. So they're here, 55 to, let's just say 55 to 65. Then they spend there. They go up a little bit in the first 5-10 years or so. And then their spending goes down until they're about 75. So again, 55 to 65 goes up a little bit in the initial part of retirement. And then it goes down when they hit 75. And then it goes down again as they go into retirement and get older. That's what happens for most people, according to BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics. I wish I had, but now I'll show you what's going to happen to me. I'm way up here, right? Because we got 6 mouths to feed in a big fat house, high property taxes. And then when I retire, when I'm out of the house, I'm going to be going down here. So because I only have 2 mouths to feed, we're going to downsize our home, absolutely. And then we might stay flat for a while. So basically, I'm going from way up here to down here. It might stay flat for a while, but then certainly it's going to drop off. It's like a reverse stair. That's what's going to happen. So up here, sell the house, downsize, might flatten out until about 75, then it'll drop off for sure. That's what we're going to do. Now, we do have long-term care insurance as well, and you should get it without question. I got no problem buying long-term care, and I got no problem buying it through a life insurance component. I love it to have that covered. But again, the retirement smile is it makes sense intuitively, but we don't have the valid research to say that's how you should factor in your own expenses. Now, with that said, if you are hit with that retirement smile, you're going to be glad you have long-term care like James talks about. Absolutely. I don't have any qualm with doing that whatsoever. That's why you buy that stuff when it's cheap, i.e. when you're young. I'm telling you right now, maybe I'll do a video one day on a hybrid policy like that and doing it when you're 45 years old or something like that. That'd be a good video to do, because I think that'd be the way to go. Buy a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider in which you can, basically cover it off, making pretty good money, maybe get a bonus and you lock that in, you're done with it. Because anytime you're buying life insurance that has cash value, the younger you do it, the sooner you fund that sucker, the better off you're going to be, without question. I got to find somebody who can do me an illustration on that. I'm going to do that. All right. Anyway, I hope this helps you. I think my man, I'm yapping to myself here, but I think my man J.O. had given me an illustration on that one time. I got to look back at my email. J.O. is who I use all the time up in Michigan. J.O., and that's Jaeoh. J.O., I think he's Korean, is his heritage, born in the United States, but I think his folks came from Korea, and his dad was a medical doctor. And I think Jay studied to be a medical doctor too until he went into the insurance industry, and he knows more about Medicare in his pinky than I do in this whole 190 pound body. Don't tell my wife I actually put on a couple pounds. And so Jay is my man for that stuff, all things health insurance, all things life insurance, and all things Medicare. And I think he did send me an illustration on that, which I might use. All right. As always, you like what you see here, subscribe down below. Comments, questions, thumbs up always helps. So we'll see you guys next time at the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Thanks now.